and welcoming you to Chair Yoga today. Hope that you're feeling okay, and even if you're not, I'm glad that you took the time for yourself. And moving through this Chair Yoga practice may help transform whatever state of being you're in. Maybe you're in the best state of mind, body, after a beautiful, energizing walk. Maybe you're feeling pain in your back or going through something. One thing I know is always true for me is that the practice of yoga changes my state of being every single time, no matter what. And it could be really subtle. I might just feel like I have a little extra space in my body, in my breath. It could be something, a lot less subtle. In my body, I feel a lot more stretched and strong and balanced. So we'll see. We'll treat ourselves today as science experiments. I was teaching a private session this morning, and this idea came into my mind that what if we were to treat our session today like we were just beamed into our bodies for the first time and trying the body on and seeing how it feels, like with curiosity. So that's what we're going to take into our class today. Just, oh, hey, here I am. I'm in this body today, and let's see how it feels. Right? Try not to judge that and be in that sort of sweet spot of observational distance, right? So that we're not consumed by those things that might be challenging or issues or whatever arises, but just staying with that curiosity and that observation. All right, so finding a way to sit in this body today. Maybe it's taking a little movement, getting any last little wiggles or squiggles out of the body, and finding your stable, upright posture. You notice I have a block between my feet today. I don't know why I did that. I just thought, I need a little anchoring. Some of us were saying what day it is, remembering, is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday? I forgot to send a link at 8 a.m. like I normally do. Well, I need a little anchoring today. So I put my block here, and I'm just going to lightly sort of squeeze that block with my feet and know that it is there for my support. And then from here, I might just roll my shoulders up, back, and down a few times, getting settled, letting all of my burdens just sort of slip and slide off the shoulders. Knowing you can get whatever you need at any time, that I'm your guide, but you are your own best teacher. Okay, so I'll invite you to close your eyes or just soften the gaze down. You don't have to close the eyes, but it might be nice to just turn the attention inward a little bit as we begin our practice with this curiosity towards how it feels to be in one's body. Right? So you might notice the feet on the ground. Notice the seat on the chair, and notice if there are any parts of the body that you might soften a little bit. Now for me, it's always my shoulders, always my jaw, and not worrying about what my face might look like, just letting any expression drain from my face. And then I might begin to send some tendrils of consciousness towards this feeling of breathing in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth. If you're feeling a little extra stress today, maybe you take some exhales out of the mouth. And noticing now just the shape change of the breath as the breath moves in through the nostrils, maybe into the chest, into the belly, side ribs, and releasing out of all of those areas. Seeing where you can find your breath today. And maybe it's only one of those places, and that's okay. Just finding the breath beginning to arrive in whatever state of being you're in. It could be a very gentle, soft breath. Feeling those feet on the ground, seat in the chair, and letting go of holding the stress or tension you might feel in parts of the body, such as the shoulders, jaw, or even the back. All right, guys. So I'm going to take my hands onto my belly. We did this last week. We're going to do it again. And I want to offer you the idea of letting the belly be full and soft, and letting go of holding that belly in, and seeing if you can actually think of your belly as like a balloon you're going to fill up with your breath. And maybe it's just a little bit of air going there as you release out, deflating the balloon. And taking a couple belly breaths. And if it's not feeling right for you today for whatever reason, just breathing in any way that would feel right. And I think about the ladies from long ago who were wearing all kinds of things like corsets, and wondering how on earth did they take a full deep breath. No wonder they had all those ailments, not being able to breathe fully. So I am so glad I'm born into a time where I get to wear leggings, right? But we're still operating in a culture that wants us to be thin and trim. And I want to just offer you the idea that full belly equals full breath. Full breath equals full energy and less stress. All right. That's good. Really good. I'm going to just bring the hands down and start to bring a little bit of movement into my head and neck. And that's where we might find our transformation begin. Right? I already feel different from when I first sat down here. But I'm going to start to move my head and neck, just tucking the chin, lifting the head up and back, and noticing, observing, how does this feel? Is it easier to go forward or back? Can I breathe with this movement? If this movement doesn't feel right to me, can I allow myself the freedom to not do it? Right, coming to neutral when you're ready, and maybe tucking one ear towards one shoulder, other ear, other shoulder, and noticing, is there some more resistance in one side? For me, that's like hard yes. Moving from side to side. Oh, yes. What is it like to have a head on top of a body connected with by a neck? All right. And we'll take some small little circles, perhaps sending that beam of light up back towards the heavens, circling your beam of light from the crown of your head, kind of like the bat signal. And maybe moving in the other directions. Yeah, I don't know what happened to me last night. We had a huge storm here, Leslie, and it was thunder and lightning, and it felt like it was like in my brain. It was so close on the third floor of my parents' house, and maybe something energetically shifted for me, and now I'm really way more wackadoodle than I normally am. All right, guys. I'm just going to rub my hands together and give myself a little neck massage, a little self-massage, just sliding the muscle away from the cervical spine and noticing, is this helping me feel a little bit more relaxed? Maybe you can just gently brush down alongside the neck here. Right? And this is kind of supportive of moving that lymph fluid. You know, we move the lymph fluid always towards the heart. Right? So you can even just take a little light brush up the arms, Right? You could even take a brush up the legs, kind of feeling the container of your body. That's good. All right. And yes, Helena. I hear you on that one. Helena, too, is on the 3rd floor of her parents' house. So we're going to roll the shoulders up, back, and down just a few times. The 3rd floor is like my magical number. I don't know. I love the 3rd floor of any place. Lifting up, back, and down. That's good, Cindy. Just letting the burden slide off the shoulders. Beautiful. Up, back, and down. You got it. Maybe we go the other direction. See how that feels. And then we'll release back to neutral. And I'm just going to lift my arms out to the sides. And as I'm in this posture of openness, right, my heart is open. And I could maybe either choose to send a little bit of love to the other chair yoga students today, or choose to receive. Let me take a big breath in, sending or receiving support depending on what you need today. And then you could give yourself a big hug. Oh, we all need support and we all need love. And it goes both ways, right? So I could tuck my chin here, and then I'll lift my head up and open the arms back out again, inhaling, sending or receiving. Exhaling, other arm on top, give yourself a hug, tuck the chin. And then once again, we'll inhale the arms out to the sides, and this time I'm going to take some twist pulses to the right. So inhaling, exhale, pulse to the right, use the abdominal muscles. Come back to center. Inhale, pulse to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. And you could go at a different pace than mine. Moving from side to side and just noticing, maybe you could go a little farther with the twist. Maybe it feels better just to kind of hang out where you are. We could take one more on each side. Good, and then we're releasing the arms down and just rolling those shoulders up, back, and down a few more times. And then I'm going to bring my hands to my knees, and I've got my fingertips lifted. And this is a really great way to release tension from jaw and neck, what we're going to do, the lion's pose. Also, it's just sort of fun and a good way to express yourself. So we open the mouth as wide as we can. We stick out the tongue as far as feels okay. And we breathe a soft little roar. So let's take 3 lion's breaths. If this feels okay for you, you don't have to do it. Beautiful. And I might reach up and just give the outside of my jaw a little bit of a massage. Yeah, I really like that one for you, Bill. Really like that one to support throat chakra. All right. We got a beautiful shot of a kitty tail over at Jean's house. It's just so cute. Why did the kitty always go in front of the camera? All right, so I'm going to take my block out if you've had a block there, and we're going to take a little walk together, just lifting one leg at a time. Right, if you need the support of your chair behind you, you could scoot to the back of the chair. I'm just warming up my hip joints. Noticing what muscles are involved in this. Yeah, it feels pretty contained here to my hip flexors. Maybe my low back is working a little bit too. Noticing for yourself what it's like to have this movement in your body. And then whenever you feel like it, you could transition to lifting the right leg up. If it feels better to keep the heel on the ground, you could do that. I'm rolling my ankle and breathing. Little bit of movement in a lot of places as our secret weapon in chair yoga. Other direction. And then releasing and switching sides. All right, so pressing that left leg long. That's good, Pat. Taking care of yourself if needed, the other direction. Good, and then we'll come back to center and take some movement into the spine. So gently rounding and arching the back. Taking care, if you have osteoporosis, you're not going to round the back too aggressively. Right, so as I sit up tall, draw my elbows back, push the heart forward. And as I round, I'm going to think about puffing up the upper back. Right, maybe this movement comes with the breath. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, rounding. And one more. Good, I'll come up to sit and then take my legs nice and wide as we begin to stir the pot. And yeah, this weather is really making me think about making soup. So whatever's in your pot, imagining what you might be stirring with this stirring of the pot. And noticing how it feels. Maybe it's a really small circle. Maybe you want to go the other direction. Still breathing. Good, and then we'll come back to neutral, and I'm just going to lift my arms out to the sides, and I'm hugging the muscles along the arm bone, and I'm going to open and close my fists. Right, that's all I'm doing. If I wanted to add a little bit of extra sort of coordination work, I might lift the heels and lift the toes with that movement. Doing whatever feels best for you. Yeah, the hands feel like they really needed this today. This kind of rainy weather, and we tend to experience those little aches and pains more. All right. And then we're releasing the arms down and bringing the feet back to center. And I'm going to take that block again. And I'm dedicating this one to my dear friend, Joe. All right, Joe, we have not done this one in a while. And it harkens back to our time for in-person classes. Right, so I'm going to take this block between my feet, and I'm going to find a way to sit so that when I lift my feet up, I feel supported. I am away from the back of my chair, but if you need to hold on to your chair or scoot to the back, you can do that. So I'm just lifting the legs, and then I'm going to try to hover the block so the block isn't touching down. And this is actually a lot of work for my quads and for my core. Right, so if it doesn't suit you today and you need to do something more gentle, you could sit and breathe. Right, inhaling, I could feel that belly working. Exhaling. Yeah, and maybe you just lift the block and keep it lifted. Squeeze the block together. Take 3 breaths with me. Maybe the arms rising. That's good, Cindy. Squeezing that block. And then releasing. Yeah, I feel the effort there in the legs. And then I'll take my block to the side. And I'm just going to scoot my body to the right here. My right foot is going to go over the edge of the chair. And I'm going to lengthen my left leg. Maybe the leg can be lengthened as long as I'm demonstrating here. Maybe you need to keep the knee bent. So I'm looking for a little stretch in my left hip. And maybe this doesn't come just today as fully as this I'm demonstrating, and that's absolutely fine. Right? So maybe you working towards stretching the leg long, and then I'm going to lift my left arm up and circle it back like I'm, strumming that giant air guitar or bass. Right? Inhale and exhale. And maybe you want to move the other direction. All right, that's good, Leslie. Working with what you've got there. And releasing. And then we'll just come back to center. That's good, Pat. Take a breath. We know what's coming, right? We're doing this lunge on the other side. So left leg hooking over the side of the chair. I'm holding onto my chair for support, seeing how it would feel to lengthen my right leg, or maybe keep a slight bend to the knee. And I'm kind of engaging this right glute muscle as I lift the right arm up and over. Breathing in, breathing out, just kind of revving up my day. Maybe I'll come the other direction. Just a slow, gentle breath. Good, and one more. It's good, Helena. And coming back to center, I might take a cat-cow here. All right, so just checking in with my energy, with my state of being. I could take 3 breaths and notice those areas in the body where I tend to hold tension. How do they feel? How does my breath feel? How is it to be in my body today? Quoting Joseph Campbell, who said, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are." So I want to circle back to that at the end of our class. But for now, I want to do some standing postures. So this is optional for you. If you feel like staying seated today, you can stay seated. I'm going to mindfully transition to a standing posture and come around to the back of my chair. Make any changes to your environment so you can see, so you can be seen. If that's what you need today, take a sip of water if that's what you need. You guys are really doing great today. So coming around to the back of my chair, I am going to come into mountain pose. So planting all 10 toes onto the earth and maybe taking a peek down, picking up all 10 toes, spreading them nice and wide, plant them back down. All 10 toes lifted, release down. And then maybe we'll press just the big toes down, lift the little toes up. Press the little toes down, lift the big toes up. And we're moving from side to side. Maybe the feet accommodate you, maybe they don't. We do want to explore improving dexterity in the toes and the feet for better balance. I can see a real direct correlation in clients who have feet issues with their toes and issues with their feet, and their balance is usually quite poor. Not saying that that's the case with any of you or that there's anything wrong with that. But here's some very simple thing you can do to help your balance. All right. Another great thing that we practice every time we meet, coming up onto the tiptoes. And I'm holding on to my chair for support for this. You may feel safe without that. You may want to work towards letting go of the chair. But know that your safety is number one. And if you're already coming into class feeling stressed and shaky, maybe you give yourself a little bit of a break and just keep hold of the chair. Breathing in, breathing out, and finding a place to gaze that is not the screen, if you're not already doing that. And you might explore hanging out as you're lifted and staying lifted for a moment or two, and just finding that edge of your balance. Yeah, that's good. And then slowly coming back down. That's great, Joe. So we'll come to a downward facing dog. Right? You can take some steps away from the back of your chair, and maybe today we just shake the tail feathers a little bit, wag the tail a little bit while we're here. And coming into this shape, I so often cue breathing into the back of the body because we have very little awareness of what we can't see. And so this is a part of you too, this back of the body. Seeing if you can take 2 more breaths here, downward facing dog, maybe a slight bend to the knees. And then we're coming back up nice and slow. And I'm going to take my right foot forward and my left foot back at a little bit of an angle. And we're repeating our warrior one from last week. So bending and straightening into this front knee. And notice how my torso is lifted, right? If it felt safer or more comfortable to lean forward, you could do that. Or you could challenge yourself to keep this whole front of the body open. You could keep a hand on the chair, or maybe just lift the left arm up. You could keep the hands at heart center if you need more grounding. Maybe both arms lift if you're feeling stable today. That's good. Can you take 3 breaths here? Breathing in, breathing out. That's good. Inhaling, exhale, and one more breath. Hands coming down to the back of the chair. And I'm shortening my stance a little bit and straightening both legs. So I'll take a little bow over my chair and I'll bring my forearms down onto the back of my chair, and that might feel like enough. Right? That might feel like just the right amount. Maybe a soft bend to that right knee if it's too much. Or I might be able to travel a little farther depending on also the structure of the chair. Yeah, that's good, Jean. You could keep the gaze lifted or you could keep the gaze down, whatever feels best for you. Beautiful, Pat. Feeling that stretch right through the screen. And then we're coming up nice and slow. That's good. Step the left foot forward, right foot back, a little bit of an angle. Repeating those same 2 things on the other side. So I've got left foot forward, right foot back at a little bit of an angle. I'm bending and straightening into the left knee, just juicing up the knee joint. Right? So taking care if you have knee issues. We're never locking the knees. And then with this left knee bent, I'll lift just the right arm to see how my stability feels. If I feel okay, maybe both arms lift. Right? Or I could keep one hand always on the chair, gazing at something that's not moving, straight ahead, and finding my breath. Good. 2 more breaths. One more breath. Awesome, guys. Bringing the hands down and hopping that back foot forward to shorten your stance. Both legs now straight. And I'm taking a little bow over my chair. Forearms could rest on the chair. And I just sort out my foundation here. And then whenever you're ready, you could explore a little bit of a deeper fold if it's available. Not saying that you have to. Maybe this side feels a little different and you want to stay a little higher. That's good, Emily. And walking ourselves up nice and slow. Right, taking a moment to kind of reset. Maybe I walk from side to side. Maybe I swing my arms a little bit. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Just getting the juices flowing here. Yeah. Just drinking in the air. Cindy, that's good. All right. And then I'm going to come back to my standing mountain pose. Lifting all 10 toes, spreading them wide, rooting down through my feet. Arms can rest at the sides if you feel safe. Letting go of the chair. I really invite you to try this pose sometime during your everyday routine. You're standing and you're talking to someone. You're waiting in line. Plugging into earth energy, right, is so grounding and centering. And taking the time to be still when life demands that we're always moving. It's a rebellious act. And I can notice myself like really wanting to move, right? Really wanting to always move. And my secret medicine is that I need to stay still sometimes. So hard. Breathing in, breathing out. All right. Let's take a little bend to the knees. I'm going to bring my feet together. Maybe the hand comes back to the chair. And I'm going to step the right foot in front of the left so that my heel and my toe are touching, or maybe very close. If you get here and this feels like just way too imbalancing for you, you could bring a little space between the feet. Okay, so I've got a soft bend to both knees, and I'm exploring weight in both feet, just sort of seeing where I naturally want to place my weight. And then I'm going to work towards maybe taking my hands off the chair if I feel comfortable doing so. And this might be really easy for you today. Maybe you need the chair the whole time today, and that's fine. If you want a little extra challenge, I'll invite you to move the eyes only, to the right, and to center and to the left. Right? And moving the eyes from side to side, it's like, wow, so much. I don't move my eyes. And we'll release out of this and just walk it out a little bit between sides. And then we'll bring the feet together once more and step the left foot in front of the right. Other side could feel different. Little bend to the knees. Weight in both feet. Maybe we're working towards taking the hands out. And this time maybe the eyes look up and the eyes look down. I don't know why that's more challenging for me personally, looking up and looking down. Yeah, that's good. And then relax and release out of it. And we'll take a downward facing dog. Noticing how the second downward facing dog might feel in your body. Is there a little bit more room for you here? You could take a little extra space between your feet if you like. Bend and straighten the knees if you like. Right, if you get dizzy easily, you could keep the head lifted. Yeah, that's good, Jean. And then we're coming up nice and slow. And we're going to come around to the back of the chair and take a nice wide stance. All right, so back of the chair, wide stance, and we're just circling the hips. Maybe it's a really subtle little movement, right, as we move the joint, the head of the femur around in the socket of the hip, just lubricating other direction. Good, and then I'll come back to stability here and bring my right foot to the right. Right toes pointing to the right side, left foot angling in and bending into this right knee. Notice how my hips are still pointing towards my chair somewhat. Yeah, so this might be it for me. I might want to just keep my hands down and root down through my feet. Or, as Emily is suggesting, we might lift the right arm over the right leg, right knee. And maybe the left arm lifts too, or you could keep the hand on the chair the whole time. You could even take a peek back, that left arm, and notice where it is. If you need to maybe lift it up a little bit higher. And then returning the gaze over the right hand. That privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. We could breathe in and stay here. If you want a little movement, you might flip that right hand, bring the left hand to the chair, and trace the ceiling with the fingertips. Coming back to warrior two. Reversing the warrior, moving at your own pace. Just doing two more. Find the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out. Good. And then we'll release the hands to the chair. Really nice. All 10 toes towards me. Take a breath. Good. And then we'll bring the left toes to the left. Angle the right foot in. Bend into the left knee. Hips towards me. And then if it felt okay, you could bring the arms out to the sides. No pressure to do that. Take a peek back at the right arm. Where is it? Yeah, and then shift the gaze over the left hand. Taking the breath at the foreground. And then maybe creating some soft movements here. Left hand lifts. Right arm travels up and back. Yeah, taking care of you if this pose isn't for you. You do not have to do it. Reversing the warrior. Coming back to warrior 2. And we'll just take one more. You guys are doing so great. Beautiful. And then bringing the hands down to the chair. And we'll come around, coming around to this left side of my chair. And I'm going to also grab a block today. Feel free to take a sip of water as we set up for our version of a triangle pose. Our version of a triangle pose, which includes using the chair. And I really like this way of doing triangle. Even though I can do a full triangle, which by the way, the verbiage of that is just all wrong. There's no full. It's your experience is as full as your experience is, if you know what I mean. All right, so here I am at the left side of my chair, and I'm going to angle my right foot underneath my chair. Take a little bit of space between my feet, not as much as you would for a warrior 2 pose. I'll angle my left foot in just a little bit. And then what I'm doing is I'm just going to set my hand down on my block. And I'm going to try to keep my left shoulder back a little bit. If this feels like it's too far to go, you could always just take the hand up on the back of the chair, right? And allow this left hip to travel with you, right? Maybe that needs to curl forward a little bit, and I'm still keeping my left shoulder back. Yeah, that's good, Joe. Find what feels right to you. You could always keep the left hand on the left hip, right? And I'm still in this sort of pouring out my teapot triangle pose. Yeah, breathing in, breathing out. Maybe the left arm lifts for just a moment. And then we're coming back up nice and slow. All right. Boogie on over to the other side of your chair. So notice I'm coming around so that I'm on the right side of my chair now. So coming around to the right side of your chair. And you're going to bring the left toes underneath the chair. Right foot angling in a little bit. And I'm going to pour my teapot out onto my block. Right, so I keep my torso kind of nice and level, but I'm going to allow my hip to curl if I need it. Okay, maybe this is as far as I go, or I need to go less. That's good, Joe. Kind of leaning back a little bit. And then that right arm could travel up for maybe a millisecond, or maybe it feels okay for you to stay here. 2 breaths. Right? The gaze could be straight ahead. The gaze could be down. The gaze could be lifted. So we give you options. And then releasing back up nice and slow. Really good job, guys. So we'll roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And what have we got time-wise? We're doing good. All right. So let's take one more balance pose here. We're going to come on over again now to the left side of your chair. Come over to the left side of your chair so you can actually kind of feel the chair at the right hip. Yeah, and then Yeah, take a breather. Cindy, if you need a breather, we're going to wind down. This is our last standing pose. Okay, this is our last standing pose. We're going to do tree pose today. And it's always an option to skip if you're feeling depleted. We don't want to practice beyond depletion, right? I'm going to bring a little benzi bounce and start to pour the weight into my right foot. I'll pick up my left heel and open the knee to the side. This might be exactly where I need to stay, with my toe on the ground. And maybe the foot could travel up to the calf. And when I get here, things start to get a little bit imbalanced feeling. So I'm going to zip up my core. This pose is a lot about your core. Maybe the left hand just rests on the heart. Maybe you're working towards bringing the hands to heart center. Maybe you can envision the tallest tree and take a breath. Really good, Leslie. And releasing slowly, carefully. Let's kick it out. All right. And we'll move around to the other side of the chair. Moving around to the other side of the chair. My BFF here can feel it at my left hip, and little bendy bounce, weight coming into the left foot as I pick up my right heel and open the knee to the side. And this might be exactly where I need to be, right here with the toe on the ground. Maybe the foot comes up a little higher. Maybe I could rest my right hand on my heart. Maybe the hands come to heart center, even if it's just for a millisecond. Maybe I need the chair. Really good, Joe. Finding your breath, Pat, that's great. Good, Emily. One more breath. And relaxing out of it. Awesome, Helena. Kick it out. And as promised, that was the last standing pose. So go ahead and mindfully transition, never in a hurry, to your seated posture. Take that sip of water. Do whatever you need to do to begin to transition to some of our seated postures, some meditation, more winding down. That's good, Helena. See the effort. It's beautiful. And so now I'll invite you to notice the state of your being. Right, just finding a moment of stillness. So rebellious, isn't it? Being still for a moment, maybe 3 breaths. And just noticing where you feel energy in the body, where you feel heavy in the body. Just being curious about how all of these movements we just did may have affected your state of being. Very good, guys. Let's cross that right ankle over the left knee. Making any modifications as needed. And maybe giving that right foot a little hello. Right, this block at the end of my leg. Sometimes forget about. I have to constantly remind myself about my feet. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm going to sit up nice and tall. And this might be enough sensation in my right hip already, just sitting like this. If I want a little more, I might lean forward, hinging at the hip. And just really take your awareness inside and find the sensation. Maybe the gaze shifts down. Maybe you can find your breath here. Maybe it's a lot of sensation. If it's not enough, you can keep moving forward. That's good. And then coming up nice and slow. We'll cross the knee over. And maybe roll that right ankle a few times. Feeling so much looser in my body after our chair yoga. We'll open the arms out to the sides. Sending love to each other. Receiving love from each other. And we'll take that little twist to the right. Use the abdominal muscles to twist. And then the hands can come down and support that twist. Right? So I'm just resting my hands on my leg and on the chair. And I'm peeking over the right shoulder. And maybe my right eyes travel all the way to the right field of vision. Chin is level with the earth. That's good. Big breath in. And releasing back to center. Yeah. Winding down now with these stretches. We'll cross that left ankle over the right knee. The side could feel a little bit different. So maybe just sitting here, I feel enough sensation. I could give my foot a little hello. Maybe I'd like to lean forward and find more sensation, gaze shifting downwards, attention moving inwards. Breathing in, breathing out, not pushing through discomfort. If you're experiencing discomfort, good. We'll come back up nice and slow and cross the knee over. Arms open wide. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the left. Use those abs. And then the arms coming down to support your twist. Sitting up nice and tall, peeking over that left shoulder. That's good. Maybe the eyes travel to the left as well. We're taking one more breath here. And then relaxing and winding back to center. And we'll take that big stretch. Everything extended. You could even allow a yawn to creep in if needed. Or sometimes it's actually really good for you to even force a yawn. You know, you can make a yawn happen. And this is one of those reflexive things that all animals do. And there's a word for it. It's called pandiculation. This reflexive stretching to release stress. And I just learned this word the other day, and I have to learn more about it, but it's just a cool word, right? Pandiculation. So that's what I want to add to every class. Pandiculation. All right, so I'm going to bring my blocks underfoot. Now this is totally optional if this doesn't feel right for you. I like a couple blocks, and I might even grab a pillow as well. If you have one nearby, if you don't, that's okay. And I'm just going to take the soles of my feet together, allow the knees to drift apart, and I'm going to rest my hands on my pillow in my lap. I like to have a little place for my hands that feels really supportive. So take a moment to kind of figure out what works best for you. And it might not be this. It might not be this. Right? So you might go lower on your blocks. You might just say, you know what, this isn't for me, and not even use them. Yeah, you might want to move even to the floor. It's a good idea. And so with my hands, I'm creating the shape of Dhyana Mudra. It's a meditation mudra. I'll place the right hand down. No, let's do the left hand down, sorry. And the right hand on top of that. And the thumbs gently touching. Yeah, that's good, Pat. You do you, my friend. All right. Yes, Cindy, I see you waving. Lots of love to you. Everything okay? Yes. Okay, good. All right, so we're winding down with some meditation here. And just allowing myself to feel the support underneath me. And maybe trust in that support a little bit more than I have been. Letting the feet relax. Letting the seat sink. Allowing, once again, those areas where I tend to hold my body tightly to soften. See if I could just follow the thread of my breath, the ebb and flow of my breath. with curiosity. How long before my mind pulls me away? Be curious about that with no judgment. Coming to the breath. Right? The breath like that best friend that always brings you back to the present moment. And always coming back to posture and breath. And maybe allowing a couple more moments for there to be nothing to do, nowhere to be. Giving yourself permission to just be. And then we'll begin to transition away from our meditative space. If you've been in a bound angle pose like me, you could bring the feet down onto the earth. You could come back up to sit in a chair if you've been on the ground, or whatever feels good. Making any little movements the body's asking for. And then together we'll take 5 breaths. This is like the secret for me for transforming my state of being when I don't have time for a full yoga practice, right? It's 5 breaths. So let's take 5 breaths together. Inhaling nose, exhaling nose or mouth, breathing in, breathing out. 3 more at your own pace. Very good. And then we'll seal our practice today with the seed syllable. Last week we did VAM, V-A-M, for this second chakra, sacral area, and now we're moving up the body. If you notice, we did some core work today, and we did some twisting, and we worked pretty hard to use this part of the body. This is the solar plexus area, and the seed syllable for this part of the body is RAM, R-A-M. It's somewhere between R-A-M and R-U-M. So feel free to join me or just listen, and we'll take 3 RAMs together, breathing in. RAM. Ram. Guys, thank you so much for your practice today. Always such a pleasure to move and breathe with you. I'll seal it with an Om just because I can't help myself. If you want to join in, breathing in for Om. Om. Namaste.